Well, greetings and ovulations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie on planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast.
Nobody here.
You didn't hear the conversation that was going on before the show started. Coming to you right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Good to have you guys here. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora,
This ain't no pie eating contest.
Jonathan Voico,
God, I wish I could have thought of something in that time, but hey.
Chris Carr is here.
As the only one in this room who ovulates, I did not bring this up. I want that to be clear.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you've got a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to address on the show, you can send down in your question to our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about it. If you happen to be listening to this show on our podcast feed, either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcasting app of choice is, you can still send in a question. Or if you're watching this video a little bit later in the day, we're not live, this tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can send on in a question even at 3 in the morning, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right. Want to mention something. Went to Crypto Arena last night in Los Angeles, where the Lakers play, to see Hans Zimmer in concert. It was spectacular. Absolutely phenomenal. I know he's on tour right now, so if he comes to a city anywhere near you, go and see this show. It was just mind-blowingly good. And I didn't expect him to do a couple of pieces that I really wanted to hear. Like, I didn't expect him to do Wonder Woman, and I didn't expect him to do Man of Steel, because he did those on his last tour, and I thought he might want to switch it up. But right off the bat, he brings out Tina Gao, the cellist, and you knew right away they're doing Wonder Woman. And they did Wonder Woman, and it was amazing. And then they did What Are You Gonna Do When You're Not Saving the World from Superman. And I kid you not, Anne laughed at me because I started to cry. I visually wept. Wow. And the music was amazing. And then out of nowhere, everything goes dark, and then one light comes on this woman, and all you hear is, ah, and it's Dune. And Anne starts bawling her eyes out.
Wow, you guys are the worst people to go to.
Because Dune and Dune 2 are Anne's second favorite movie of all time, right? So they start doing Dune, and then she starts crying, and all of it's amazing. And then, you know what I never knew?
You guys are
I never knew Hans Zimmer did Lion King.
Oh.
I didn't know that. So, like, right near the end of the show, all of a sudden you hear, and it's like,
And then
what?
everyone cried.
And then everybody cries. So the
Chris,
guy
he was
who
like,
did
"F
the
that Mufasa."
actual guy who did that original vocal from Lion King was the one on stage.
Oh, very cool.
And then they did the coolest thing. At the end, Hans Zimmer introduces the guy. He goes, he and I wrote this song together, whatever, 30-something years ago. And then he's had this one backup singer on stage with him all night doing the like kind of parts, right? He goes, by the way, this is so-and-so, his daughter. Wow. And like, she was the one on stage with him the whole time. It was just like, what? And
everyone was like, Nepo,
and he did
baby.
Inception, and he did Interstellar, and he did Pirates of the Caribbean, and he did The Dark Knight, and he did Dark Phoenix, and it was like a 3-hour show. So, like, if you guys get a chance to go see you know what? He's playing in LA again on Friday, and I'm thinking about going again. I'm hardcore thinking about going again.
I hear they're changing the name from Crypto to Crypto Night Theater. So good. Yeah.
No. I mean, it's better than ovulations, but that wasn't a high bar that I set.
So your suggestion is to go.
My suggestion is to go.
Even if you don't have tickets, go.
Even if you don't have tickets, find a way to sneak in and go see it, because it was incredible. Other thing I need to mention, I've been mentioning this all week. Starting Monday, guys, there is a change coming. The John Campea Show, our movie show, will be moving from 11:30 a.m. Los Angeles time to 2 p.m. Los Angeles time. That'll be 5 p.m. on the East Coast. So that is starting on Monday. one of the reasons, although there are several, one of the reasons that we're moving it to 2 p.m. is that we're also making room for our brand new sports podcast called Filthy Sports that we are starting on Monday. It's not going to be on this YouTube channel. We have a separate YouTube channel for it called Filthy Sports. Just go onto YouTube, search for Filthy Sports, and go and subscribe to it today, because our first episode we're doing live. We're doing live
Do it live.
on Monday. So that'll be at 10 a.m. Los Angeles time, 1 p.m. on the East Coast. So make sure you guys mark that down, and we'll see you on Monday.
It's so weird I'm nowhere in that graphic as the sports connoisseur.
As our resident sports,
channel,
our sports nut here.
Yeah.
All right. With that land, guys, let's get into it here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. I don't know if you've heard, but Jonathan Majors got himself into a little bit of trouble a little while ago. Got arrested, got convicted, got booted out of the MCU. Although they probably would have removed him from the MCU anyway, because Kang was going nowhere. But Jonathan Majors, after his conviction, a lot of things happened. But one of the notable things that happened was that he had a movie coming out that a lot of people were very excited about because it sounded great. A lot of people are saying it was the best performance of his career. It's this movie called Magazine Dreams, where he played a bodybuilder. And a lot of people said it was absolutely incredible. It was fantastic. But it was being distributed, I believe, by Searchlight.
Yep.
That is owned by Disney. And Disney waited until after the jury came back and found him guilty, and they decided to drop the movie. So Searchlight gave the movie back to the producers and gave them the right to shop it around. Well, I had totally forgotten about this movie, but meat's back on the menu, boys. Jonathan Majors. His movie, Magazine Dreams, is coming out in theaters. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter saying Jonathan Majors' Magazine Dreams landing theatrical release from apprentice outfit Briarcliff, I hope that's how you pronounce it, says this: Jonathan Majors' bodybuilding drama Magazine Dreams has found a path to theaters after being dropped by Searchlight in January following the star's criminal conviction. Briarcliff has picked up the project for distribution, the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed, and plans to release it in theaters in the first quarter of 2025. That means it's probably like 3 or 4 months away. The Tom Otenberg-run distributor has a history of acquiring controversial projects and will release the Donald Trump feature The Apprentice later this month after no major studio in Hollywood would touch it. All right. So Magazine Dreams is coming out into theaters. How do I feel about it? Well, I have 2 different parts of my thoughts, all right? First, let me talk about just the movie fan in me. The movie fan in me is thrilled by this news because this was a movie that a lot of us were very, very interested in when we heard it was in development. And then they were shooting it, and we got, the on-set photos came out, the synopsises came out. It looked really good. And the word and the buzz behind it was that everybody was thrilled with it. Again, Jonathan Majors, who is already quickly becoming one of the best actors going today, they said this was the best performance of his career. So as a movie fan, I got to say, I'm absolutely thrilled to hear this. Okay, so that's the movie fan side of me. How do I feel about it just as a person? That this guy who is convicted in court is now going to have this movie coming out. I actually feel pretty good about it. And let me explain why I feel pretty good about it. I did an entire video. You guys will find it on my channel. It's actually on the front page of the channel. If you go down to our editorials playlist, you'll see I have it on there, just explaining the charges that were brought against Jonathan Majors and what he was actually found guilty of. But more importantly, what he was not found guilty of. Jonathan Majors faced 4 charges. He was found guilty on the 2 lesser charges. He was found not guilty on the 2 more severe charges. What is key to keep in mind here is that the charge he was found guilty of was one that the language in the law that he was charged with was that he caused an injury to somebody through reckless behavior. Now, the reason that's important is because there is another subsection to that he could have been charged under, which was intentionally injured. The jury basically said, because the 2 charges that he was acquitted of, involved charge that he intended to harm somebody. He intended to hurt a person. Those he was found not guilty of. The one he was found guilty of was that he did not intend to hurt anybody, but through his reckless behavior, somebody ended up sustaining an injury. And he was found guilty of that, which he should have, because according to the law, the letter of the law, that happened. But I think it's important in law, and this is why I made that video, that we understand that there is more nuance than just somebody was found guilty of a charge versus, well, what specifically were they found guilty of? Now, Jonathan Majors, I believe in being held accountable for your actions, even if it's sometimes unintentional, sometimes reckless, whatever. I believe, because believe me, during the court cases, a lot of other creepy stuff came out. But in our country, you don't get found guilty for being creepy. At any rate, I believe even if it's just through reckless behavior and unintentional, I still believe we have to be held accountable for our actions. But I want us to take a second and think about that. Was Jonathan Majors held accountable for his actions? Remember, he was only found guilty of doing something unintentionally. As a result, Jonathan Majors was globally humiliated. I mean, globally humiliated. He lost out on, without exaggeration, tens of millions of dollars in sponsorships, movie deals, other projects he had going, all taken from him. He lost the biggest role of his life and what would have been a very lucrative future on that thing with his Kang the Conqueror role. Although I still believe Disney probably would have cut the role anyway because Kang just wasn't working. Anyway. And the court itself applied consequences that are, as we speak, in the midst of being satisfied. So while I do believe somebody needs to be held accountable for their actions, I also believe that once they are held accountable for their actions, they need to be allowed to move on. And I think for what Jonathan Majors was convicted of, which again was an unintentional injury caused due to his own reckless actions, he's been held accountable. He's paid a price higher than I will ever pay for things that I would do. Right? Like if I ran my car into somebody, I'm not going to be globally humiliated. I'm not going to be out tens of millions of dollars. I mean, my life's going to be ruined, but nonetheless. So I think somebody needs to be held accountable, but I think he was held accountable by the standard by which the law applies. And if in our society we're saying that's what we want, and he's been held accountable, he was found guilty, punishments were applied, and he's satisfying the punishments that were applied, I think the guy needs to be allowed to move on. And if this distribution company decides, hey, we want to take a risk on this and release it, God bless. I mean, just because he needs to be allowed to move on, that doesn't mean any other studio should be obligated to hire him, because he's going to be a little bit of a PR nightmare, right? Like no matter how much you believe Jonathan Majors is guilty or how much you believe Jonathan Majors was innocent or whatever, we all agree that Jonathan Majors is a bit of a PR nightmare, right? That a lot of studios may not want to put their money behind. So no studio is obligated to pick up any of his movies or to hire him for anything. But if a distributor says, you know what, we think there's potential in Magazine Dreams, we think we want to release this, and they're going to do it, I say good for them, and I honestly am okay about it. Now, I say that very cognizant of the fact that there are going to be other people that have different thoughts on that and different opinions, and I totally get it. I really, really do. Anyway, Chris, you and I have not discussed Jonathan Majors
in
like
a long time.
In a long time
Yeah.
since we discussed it. So when we have not discussed the story in advance, Magazine Dreams is getting released. Well, how do you feel about that?
It is a potentially great film. It made a really big splash when it first came on the
Festival circuit?
festival circuit. There was a bidding war for it and everything. And I'm so happy that the people involved in making this movie get to have it see the light of day. I don't know how I feel about it in general as a person. I don't. Because, he did avoid jail time. He was sentenced to a 52-week in-person domestic violence counseling treatment plan, which may or may not be helpful. Who knows? I don't know what happened behind closed doors. A lot of that case was just messy back when we were reporting on this. It was very messy. It was not just the usual he said, she said. There was just so much odd video between everyone on that case that it really was hard for me to wrap my head around what the actual truth was. And clearly a jury of his peers came to their own verdict and their own belief on that, but it's still so hard to weigh in because I wasn't one of the people in that room, in that courtroom, and I'm not Grace Jabari. You know, I don't know what actually happened between the two of them. So it is kind of just a weird feeling. I will say, though, that there are so many people, and I brought this up when we were first reporting on all of the trial and everything and the immediate cancelization of Jonathan Majors, that there are so many people in Hollywood who have done so many more egregious things. I'm not saying that to make this a suffering war, like Grace Jabari did not suffer anything, that Jonathan Majors did not suffer anything, but there have been people in Hollywood who have not been canceled, who have committed atrocious crimes. There have been people who have had horrific violence against women and they still make movies constantly. And so it is just one of those weird things to kind of try to wrap your head around of when is it okay to let somebody become a better version of self, when are things not forgivable. It's just such an odd thing that I can't really tell anyone how to feel about. I don't know.
Yeah. That's why I for me personally, again, and I think everybody has the right to feel about this however they do. For me, my criteria for how I try to shape how I feel about it is just, look, like to your point, Kristen, you're saying like we weren't in the courtroom, we weren't, right? Is that, okay, so that's why we have a system. There was a jury. They saw all the evidence. They heard all the arguments. They believed he was guilty of these two things, which were the much lesser crimes, but he was not guilty of the more serious things. And they applied the penalty that comes with that. And that's all I can go on. I mean,
Exactly.
we can feel differently about it, but that's
Yeah.
all I have to go on. And so if that's what the jury who heard all the evidence and saw all the stuff and heard all the stuff and were subject to the arguments by the prosecution and the defense, and that's the conclusion that informed jury came to, then that's what I'll go by. And for me, he paid the penalty and it's time to let him move on. Again, would I hire Jonathan Majors to be in a movie that I'm producing right now? I don't know. But do I have a problem with somebody else hiring him to do a movie right now? I don't have a problem with it. So I don't know. Look, there's going to be a lot of different feelings on this and all that kind of stuff. Whatever you guys think about it, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, on this fine October morning, if you decided to get up and thought, you know what, I'm going to start my day by watching some Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and you went over and fired up your Disney Plus account, started going through, you went, oh no, there is no Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. There's no Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's no Last Crusade. Hell, there's no even alien temple in the middle of the jungle with swinging monkey boys.
Still not as bad as the most recent one.
Yes, I still think the most recent one is better than the fourth one. I do. I think the new one.
You're entitled to feel that way, John.
I do. But all the first four of the Indiana Jones films, right up to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, poof, gone like a fart in the wind. They're not there, not on Disney Plus anymore. Screen Rant was reporting this. All of Spielberg's Indiana Jones movies removed from Disney Plus. Now, lest you start to fear that, oh no, is Steven Spielberg our new Jonathan Majors? No. No big fight between mommy and daddy. What ultimately has happened here is that we may forget that the original Indiana Jones movies were not made with Disney. They were made with Paramount. And Paramount owns the license to those movies. And Paramount licensed them, those first four. The newest one belongs to Disney. You can still find the newest one, which is better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Although that's up for debate. The newest one is still on Disney Plus because that was made by Disney. But the other four are still owned by Paramount, and that lease ended on October 1st. So Paramount came in and said, we're just going to come in and grab this, if you don't mind. Thank you. And they took their four Indiana Jones movies and they left. Now, I believe, I could be mistaken, but I believe as of right now, if you wanted to watch Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, or you want to watch Indiana Jones and Last
Dial-
Crusade.
Oh,
Paramount Plus. Right now, you can go to Paramount Plus and watch it. But you might not be able to watch it there for long because Paramount may actually package them up and sell a license to another. It's very well that in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months, you may find the first 4 Indiana Jones films on Netflix.
they really should. They need the money.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, they badly need the money. So,
And yes, you're correct. I just looked on the app and they're there.
yep, the first 4 Indiana Jones films no longer on Disney Plus. They are now on Paramount Plus, and they probably won't be there for long. I feel they will package them and give the license to somebody else for a certain period of time. The reason I find this interesting is not because, oh no, I can't watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull on Disney Plus anymore. I mean, that's a bit of a pain in the ass, but I wasn't waking up to feel that way. Here's where it's interesting. It adds more fuel to the whole physical media and the downsides of streaming media are. Because you might be somebody, listen, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that Disney Plus is the one streaming service they have. And why not? Get all your Pixar stuff, get all your classic Disney animation, get your Star Wars stuff, get your Marvel stuff, get your Nat Geo stuff, get all your Hulu stuff, FX. You want to watch Shogun? You can go watch it there. So sure, there's probably a lot of people with Disney Plus and maybe only want to pay for Disney Plus. But now they don't have most of the films in one of the greatest film franchises of all time. That was there yesterday and ain't there today. And that has been one of the long-standing arguments of people who are poo-poo on the streaming services. By the way, that's a legal term. Who do not like the idea of streaming, have said is that, listen, you never know when you're going to have it. Even if you buy, like right now, you can buy Deadpool and Wolverine. You can buy Deadpool and Wolverine right now. You can go to Amazon and buy it for $30. By the way, can we talk about how absurd it is that if you want to rent Deadpool and Wolverine right now, it's $25?
Yeah.
You can buy it for 30, or you can just rent it for 25. Got to really save that $5. Anyway,
I really want a
Well,
Starbucks.
this way you
so-
watch it and you get a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
your
you just get the
Starbucks.
movie
Yeah.
forever until
Yeah.
the license is
Yeah.
over.
well, do you forever?
Until the license is over.
Exactly.
Do you forever?
Until
That's
the
thing,
license is
right?
over.
Okay, so you buy it on Amazon. You buy it for $30 on Amazon.
No.
It could happen,
You buy the license, but that's all you get.
theoretically, that Amazon loses the right to have Deadpool and Wolverine on their service, and
Yeah.
now it's gone.
Yeah.
Now, I personally have never had that happen in the 20-something years that I've been, in the 15, 12 years that I've moved away from physical media to streaming. I have a hell of a lot of movies in my online streaming library. I have never lost one of them. Nobody I know has ever lost one of them. I've read reports of people losing things, but again, it's possible because it's happened. And now it goes on to the streaming services as well. Well, one of the reasons I get Disney Plus is because I get Indiana Jones. Maybe not. Licenses expire. Or Disney decides, you know what? We don't like Star Wars anymore. We're going to license it out to Peacock. And then all of a sudden you got Disney Plus with no Star Wars. So it just kind of adds to that whole thing. Now, I still am a streaming person as opposed to a physical media person. Because again, out of my hundreds of movies, I've never lost one. When I had hundreds of physical DVDs, Chris, I lost count about how many of those discs got lost.
Yeah.
Either in the midst of moves or in the midst of reorganizing.
Or you loan them out to
Or
somebody.
you loan them out to somebody, or the discs get damaged, or whatever. I lost a shit ton of movies having them on physical. I've never lost a single one of my movies. And here's the great thing. When I'm taking my flight to Toronto to go see the Leafs play, guess what? I got my whole movie collection right here.
I hear that's the best way to watch Dune 2.
The smallest screen possible.
But I got my
Great
whole
time.
movie collection right here. And guess what? I don't have to have 17 bookshelves lined up. And here's the other
Rob.
big thing. But here's the other thing. I remember when Rob and I had this discussion. I'm like, all right. Because Rob showed me this, like, he had like 5 copies because they're different copies of movies, right? I'm like, all right, that one there. Yeah. Since you bought that, how many times has it found its way into your DVD player? Well, that would be none, John. Yeah. And what percentage would you say of this ocean of physical media
He likes the packaging.
has never made its way into one of your DVD players. Well, that would probably be a significant number, John.
But having them sparked so much joy in him. I made him
It's true.
cry.
Yeah, he
True.
just likes the collection and the
Yeah.
packaging
Yep.
more than any. I mean,
That's
I'm
true.
I'm
That's true.
I'm the same way as you, John. Like, pretty much, like if I don't see it in the theater, I'll see it streaming somewhere. If it's an older film, a lot of places have licenses for them. If it's a rare film or something, then sure, there's the odd Criterion film
Yeah.
I might pick up or whatever. Not a steelbook. I just get whatever, a 4K, but I don't go crazy on it.
Yeah.
But those are like a handful where there's no other access to them. But yeah, I pretty much
But
just
you're
stream.
right. There is a joy.
Oh yeah.
It just, you know what? To your point, I've got the complete Calvin and Hobbes collection. I love Calvin
That's
and Hobbes.
great.
If you don't, you and I can't be friends. But I've got the complete Calvin and Hobbes collection. It's in my room. When's the last time I actually took it out and opened it?
A while, right?
If I'm going to be honest, it's probably been a while.
Some of that stuff
But
is
it
for
brings me
display.
joy just seeing it there.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of physical media collectors, the same is true.
Exactly.
Anyway, Chris,
I-
go ahead, Ray.
Go
I was
ahead,
about
Ray.
to say the Indiana Jones game is coming out December 9th, 2020.
That's true.
Will that drive younger kids who haven't seen Indiana Jones to
Maybe.
actually go seek out those movies?
I hear it's
If
a
the
good game.
game's popular,
Yeah.
it very well could. I mean, that's a really good.
That's a great
And you know
point.
what? That's got to really kill Disney because wouldn't it be good to have the Indiana
Yeah,
Jones
exactly.
actors when that game
now
comes
these
out?
people are going to be scrambling. Where's my? I thought Indiana
Paramount
Jones
can make
was
some
on-
money on.
They
on
have
that
one of the
licensing.
movies on there. Where's the rest?
Yeah, the best one. They've got
Yeah.
the best one.
Yeah. And sometimes it is just about collecting, though. I mean, like,
Well, that's all I wanted to throw in there.
Well, so Chris, anyway, this is just, another kind of example of how complex this whole thing about the digitalization of our entertainment now and stuff like that. What's the thing that jumps out to you the most when you hear about, like, hey, turn on Disney Plus today and Indiana Jones ain't there?
I mean, honestly, I first thought of Rob going, "Aren't you glad you have those on physical media, kid?" Because I do. And I would be really bummed out if I couldn't watch The Last Crusade.
Well,
ever
I
again.
also have Disney or Paramount Plus,
have
so I
Paramount
can
Plus
Rob
as well.
watch it
And
today
you
if I
know,
want.
like my husband is that John Mulaney joke of he found a show that's on TV right now, even though we own the DVD, and we'll sit here and watch it with commercials.
I do that too.
Interesting, yeah. But I do think, because I am one of those people who has lost media. Mine was iTunes, even though I have used the same iTunes account since that came available to me. I have watched TV episodes, and I've lost so much music.
Really?
And when I talk to Apple about it, they're like, "Oh, that's weird." It's like,
That's weird.
It sure
yeah,
is.
that's why I only either will get vinyl or I just Spotify.
Yeah.
The vast majority is Spotify. When someone says like, "Oh, I haven't heard this," or like, "Oh, I don't have this," I'm like, you literally have the entire world of music in Spotify.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat now where I get vinyls of things I really, really love. I got one of Over the Garden Wall soundtrack,
Nice, yeah.
and it's spooky season now, so I get
And
to
they're
listen
great for
to
display or whatever. It's
it.
fun.
Yeah, they're beautiful. But I do think that if you absolutely love a film, there is merit to getting it in your hot little hands and physically having
And just
that.
knowing you've got it.
Exactly. Now, the downside then obviously is that the technology keeps changing.
Yeah.
Right? Where I have my beautiful Lord of the Rings special editions.
VHS.
Yeah, they're DVDs, and so then I get to watch them on a
VHS.
PS4.
No, but you know what? I
or-
still have, John. When you said, I still have that collection of the Star Trek: The Motion Picture through 6 on VHS, and it forms the Enterprise. I still have that
that's so
from
cool.
my childhood.
But I mean, to your point, you're right. Like with the technology changing,
Yeah.
the physical media you can own forever is now obsolete.
Right.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
Which I will say to other people, because Logan did this for me. I thought it was the sweetest thing in the world. If there is physical media that you love that is on a VHS, that is outdated, find a company that will convert it for you to
Right.
digital.
Yeah.
I had a Christmas tape that my dad made me of all of my favorite Christmas specials from 1992
Wow.
that he just put on a tape. And then Logan
Aw,
got all of that
sweet.
digitized for me.
Yeah.
So every year I can watch those. So if you love something, make sure you own it and you have it.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Indiana Jones, at least the four, earlier films, all disappeared from Disney Plus. What does that say to you? What makes that? What first is the first thought that comes to your mind when you see that? About when it comes to the whole adding to the complication of physical media and streaming and stuff like that. It's really funny. People say, "Well, it was very important when I get a DVD, I back it up." So you want a digital?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, what's the first thing that jumps out at you, and what can this lead to? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. The Bret Hart of acting. The excellence of execution. The GOAT of all GOATs. Daniel Day-Lewis. Unfortunately for us, retired from acting a couple of years ago. By the way, he still to this day, and probably always will, holds the record for most Oscar wins for Best Lead Actor at the Academy Award. He won 3. No other actor has won 3. Since he did My Left Foot, roughly every other time he was in a movie, he was at least nominated for Best Lead Actor at the Academy Awards. That's the GOAT. And in my opinion, he gave the single greatest performance ever in any movie, ever, in There Will Be Blood, which he also won the Academy Award for. Unfortunately, he did Phantom Thread, which was a brilliant movie, and then retired. The Beast is back! The GOAT is back! Daniel Day-Lewis, according to IndieWire, is coming out of retirement and is going to star in a film by his son that he has co-written with him. It's called Anal Money. And
Damn it, John.
Jeez, what is it? Anonymity?
What is it?
Anemone.
An enemy.
Like
An
an
enemy. Like an enemy.
Yeah.
And
An enemy.
Just think enema, but
Enema.
different.
Right. Enema, but an enemy.
Yeah.
It's called An Enemy. Don't like the title,
boy.
but that's okay. This comes to us from IndieWire, who writes this. Daniel Day-Lewis, GOAT of all GOATs, King of Kings, the greatest there ever was or is officially back on screen. 7 years after the Oscar winner announced his retirement in 2017 following The Phantom Thread, Daniel Day-Lewis is set to lead his son Ronan Day-Lewis's directorial debut, An Enemy. I said it right. Ronan and Daniel co-wrote the script for the Focus Features and Plan B original film. An Enemy is Daniel Day-Lewis's first acting role since Focus Features' Phantom Thread.
You can't help yourself.
The film will co-star Sean Bean, who I'm sure will die in the first act, Samantha Morton, Samuel Bodley, and Sophia Oakley Green. The official logline for An Enemy teases that the drama will, quote-unquote, explore the intricate relationships between fathers, sons, and brothers, and the dynamics of familial bonds. Don't care. Daniel Day-Lewis is back, though. That's all I care about.
God.
Daniel Day-Lewis, the greatest to ever do it, is back. And this is something I'm excited about. And I was joking earlier, I said, what's going to bring Daniel Day-Lewis back? Anal money. That's what's going to bring him back. Because that's a lot. Don't underestimate that.
I feel like it's not as much.
Problem
as
is, once you go that way, you can't come back from it. So
you can. You can.
Once you show that side. Once you show that side.
It's, yes. Look, it is like, as a film fan, it is honestly, throughout my film watching life, has been one of my greatest joys in going to the movie theater to see like the maestro, to see the best at his craft doing it. Whether it's My Left Foot, In the Name of the Father, whether it's Lincoln or There Will Be Blood, or I already mentioned There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, or Gangs of New York, or whatever. When you're watching him on screen and doing what he does, like, he's so utterly transformative. Like, he's the gold standard. I have never in my life, and I don't think I ever will, see an actor who can do what he does to the level that he does it. I just, as a viewer, I've never had any other actor be able to do that. And that includes my other favorite actors of all time. For him to come back, I think it's awesome. Now, there's a very good argument to be made here that he might just do it for his kid's movie. There's an argument to be made for that. But what I'm hoping, because remember, this guy, since 1989, he's not like a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that did like 3 or 4 films a year, right? He would do like 1 film every couple of years. It was only when a movie would come along that he truly believed in it, and he truly thought there was something that he could do with that material, and he would do it. And again, every other time he would be nominated for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. He's been nominated 6 times. And by the way, 6 times is not the record. Winning 3 is the record. Being nominated 6 times is not the record. A little bit of interesting trivia for you guys. The all-time record for an actor to be nominated for Best Actor at the Academy Awards is 9. And that's a tie by 4 different actors. 4 different actors have been nominated 9 times. None of them won 3. The 4 actors are Denzel Washington, Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, and who did I say was the last one?
Spencer Tracy.
Spencer Tracy
Tracy, yeah.
was the 9th one. Paul Newman, by the way, was nominated for 8. Ain't none of them won 3. Daniel Day-Lewis did, and he did it by acting only in like 1 movie every couple of years. Now, I've always, you know where my mind's going right now, right?
Well, no.
Marvel, baby. I want to see James Gunn. James Gunn got a new DCU. Okay, look, it'll never happen. It will never happen. I'm not even pretending it's going to happen. But what type of hero-gasm would there be across the fanscape if, like, tomorrow morning, Daniel Day-Lewis said, now newly invigorated by all the anal money, he's ready to be a villain in the MCU, or is willing to be a hero or a villain in the DCU? Oh the greatest actor of all time?
You know, I was going to show this clip to Daniel, but I just don't feel like I can anymore.
No. The chat is ridiculous right now. Oh God.
Daniel Day-Lewis is Mephisto.
Well,
But
Mephisto.
it's spelled very different. It's spelled with an F, friends.
Mephisto.
No problems.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like this. Miguel in the live chat is saying he's our new Professor X. He's Charles Xavier. Great. Can you imagine that?
Oh, I was about to say, what does that have to do with anal? Like I was looking for the, I'm looking for the joke now. Okay,
Ray's
so Professor,
behind, he's trying to
Professor
type it.
X. Okay, we're talking real now.
Professor
we're talking like
Triple
adults.
X.
Let's talk like adults.
He's playing
for a second.
Professor Triple X.
What about Spielberg directing Daniel Day-Lewis as Professor X?
If I had a nickel every time Rave said the phrase, what does that have to do with anal? I'd be a rich man.
No, that's anal money.
That's anal money. Yeah.
Okay.
How did we get on this? Oh, anyway.
Yeah, I have no idea.
How great.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't either.
But let's reel it back in for my little fantasy
I'd
land.
love to.
Oh yeah.
Chris, Daniel Day-Lewis is coming back in a movie that he has co-written
He's so disappointed in you right there.
and his son is directing. What do you think about this?
Hey, good for them. That's great. I love it. Also, the idea of being retired for 7 years is hilarious to a journeyman actor. Of just like, oh, you haven't made a movie in 7 years? That was a retirement?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're all just fine over here. Yeah, good for him. Good for him. I think it's great. And also kind of a dick move if you don't come back for your kid's movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like he is such a great actor that he would be honest and be like, oh, son, this is trash.
Well,
I won't
he
do it."
co-wrote it.
He co-wrote
so,
it,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe that's why he jumped in there and was
Yeah.
like, if you want me to do this, let me punch this script up. But this is great stuff, and I hope everyone learns how to pronounce the word anemone.
Anemone.
Yay!
Hey, who knows?
Anemone.
Maybe Daniel Day and Ronan Day will be the next Eugene and Daniel Levy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do a spunky comedy on Netflix next.
You know, John, everyone.
I don't want that word anywhere near this
Spunky.
discussion.
John,
Right.
everyone loves a comeback story, right? Right? Especially if it's done.
There's so many days, Jonathan, that I'm like, we drove 2 hours to get here.
Yeah.
We drove 2 hours to have
right.
this discussion.
We have to drive back.
You have to drive
what
back
gets me
2
is that I have
hours.
to drive back.
Going, I sat and talked
Anybody
about
who
anal
hasn't
money.
seen the Parks and Rec,
How could
Gabriel
you
won't
do
get
this
that.
to the greatest actor of all time? We are smearing him right now. Smearing his
Smearing
name.
him?
Smearing
What?
his name.
we are honoring him.
We are honoring him
He is
in
the greatest.
such a weird way.
He's the greatest.
No, but welcome back, Daniel Day. Can't wait to see you.
Everybody loves a comeback story.
Can't wait to see you in this movie. I love when it's a father and son working together. It must be like a great thing to happen sometimes. So,
I'm sure it'd
Yeah.
be great. Anyway, guys, this is a serious journalism show.
Oh my God.
I would encourage you all to calm the hell down. What do you think about this? The GOAT is coming back in a movie that he co-wrote. Oh, wait a minute. That was unintentional. The GOAT is returning
There we
Yes,
go.
there you go.
in a movie that his son is. I don't care what this movie's about. I mean, I really don't care. I'm going to watch it because it's the greatest of all time. Whatever you. And do you think this could re-spark his passion? And maybe we'll start seeing him in other stuff as well? Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, believe it or not, we still got to talk about other things. Clint Eastwood's new movie, Pussy Galore. No, wait, that's something different. Clint Eastwood's got a new movie called Juror number 2, and its first trailer has just come out. Sorry, Chris. And Joker 2. Joker 2 is costing nearly triple what Joker costs and is looking like it's going to have half of what it made on its opening weekend. We're going to talk about those things and a few things more, but before we do, we're going to thank a couple of sponsors who I'm sure are super glad they're our sponsors today. Our friends at Miracle Made and the Dollar Shave Club. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Dollar Shave Club. Hello there, my fellow handsome gentlemen. Nice face you shaved there. Whether you're going smooth shaven or maintaining a beard, Dollar Shave Club offers shave and grooming products that are always high quality, but never overpriced. If you like to wet shave for that clean, close shave, they've got the Club Series 6 Blade Razor. A shave so comfy your skin will take a nap. 6 stainless steel blades for our closest and most comfortable shave, with a vitamin E infused lubricant strip for comfort and glide and precision trimmer for precise detailing. Their amazing shave butter, clear view, smooth glide, designed for precision. Shave butter is a translucent shaving cream alternative that allows you to see exactly where you're shaving. Bonus, it has long-lasting lubrication that helps soften whiskers for maximum glide and leaves your skin feeling hydrated. But don't take our word for it. Try it for yourself. You can visit their site right now for 20% off, $20 or more, and get your products delivered right to your door. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/Campea and use promo code Campea for 20% off, $20 or more. And remember, however you shave, Dollar Shave Club is here to help you stay handsome. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made and the Dollar Shave Club for that great lubricant and for being sponsors of the John Campea Show podcast.
They've all pulled out. Or have
Did
they?
they?
Well, we'll find out pretty soon.
With that
Turn around
down,
and find out.
let's move on to our next topic, shall we?
Please. With haste.
Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood is one of these few guys in Hollywood history who is like considered by many to be one of the great movie stars of all time, then transitioned to becoming one of the great directors. I mean, he's an award-winning filmmaker, and it's been a while since I've been super excited about one of his films. But this new one, he's got with Nicholas Hoult, called Juror number 2, looks fantastic. A new trailer for this film just dropped, the first trailer for it, and it co-stars with Nicholas Hoult, J.K. Simmons, Zoe Deutsch, Leslie Bibb, Kiefer Sutherland, and it looks fantastic. if you have not seen it, and you should, because this looks great. A guy's recounting a story about how he was like driving on a rainy night and thought he hit a deer, but he came out and looked, couldn't find it anywhere, whatever, just got back in his car, has left. A year later, he's selected for jury duty.
Oh.
And it's a case where a guy is being charged with murdering his girlfriend, whose body was found off the bridge where that juror knows he hit something that same night. And now what does he do? I love movies that set up what the hell circumstances. Take, for instance, Born Identity, right? That whole idea about a ship in the middle of the ocean just finds a guy floating there. Like, what? Like when you create these scenarios that are like, what the hell do you do kind of scenarios, I get intrigued. And the fact that you got Keith Sutherland in there and J.K. Simmons, Leslie Bibb, and Toni Collette is in there too, by the way, who is amazing. And it's being directed by Clint Eastwood. I gotta tell you, man, I have not been this excited for a new Clint Eastwood film for a while. This looks great to me. Chris, you had a chance to take a look at this trailer. What did you think?
The trailer looks amazing. The cast is stacked. The story is very intriguing of, oh, did you do it? What actually happened? What is the truth
And then
there?
what do you do?
Yeah. What do you do in that scenario? And also, Clint Eastwood is 94.
Yeah.
94 years old. I mean, I just hope that he delivered directorially the way that he used to. Because, man, he is getting up there. And sometimes I just think about that time he yelled at a chair and I get a little sad. And so I just want to make sure that he is still firing on all cylinders. But this looks very, very promising.
You know, I was watching the live chat before the show started today. And there was some conversation amongst the viewers in there about, and somebody said, and they totally meant well, but said, why is Clint Eastwood, like, Clint should retire? He's in his 90s. Like, I hope this is his last film. But I'm like, why though? Like, if you're still good at what you do.
Sometimes that's what keeps you alive.
Yeah. It keeps you mentally sharp.
And if you love what you do, why would we say to him, you should stop? I mean, listen, for a lot of people in the world, like when I think about retiring, I think about doing some of the things I'd really love to do, but I don't have the time to do. But if your true love in life is making movies, why would you stop? And you're still good at it, and people still want to give you money for it, and you still make good stuff. Why would you want to stop?
I mean, my dad is 86 and he's still planning like a housing development. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I mean,
you know what I mean? It's just what keeps people going.
Well, for me, Clint Eastwood has this. He's the only director for me that, like, after I watch his movies, they always stick in my head. Like Gran Torino, The Mule, anything that he's released.
Right.
They're so depressing, but yet they give you thought, like so much thought of like. I always leave like just sad from his movies.
Well,
but
they can be heavy
they're
for
good
sure.
movies.
Yeah.
Well, look at $1 Million Baby.
Yeah, that one.
I
Especially.
mean, that is not something you walk out whistling and.
Well, even Gran Torino.
Yeah. So every time his name comes up, a new movie from him, I get sad, but I get excited. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Thing with me, how I feel when I hear that he's releasing a movie, because I know I'm gonna watch it, but I know I'm gonna leave like a different person every time.
And this looks, and I love that whole conundrum.
Yeah.
Like, if you're Nicholas Hoult, on the one hand, there's a guy that you really believe could be innocent who's on trial. But if you come forward, it could ruin your life.
And you just had a baby.
And you just had a baby.
I have a theory, but it might spoil it for everyone.
Not if we
What's
don't
only a
actually
theory?
know.
Well, I think the guy actually threw the girlfriend in front of the car.
That's possible. Yeah. So it's
That's
not really his
possible,
fault.
that, or like he did just hit an animal and it was him all along or whatever. We
Although
don't
it
know.
was on a bridge on a rainy night, where did he go? Like, how would Nicholas Hoult?
Well, he's Batman.
He's Batman.
He's Batman.
I do like the idea, though, the boyfriend being like, all right,
Yeah.
any moment now.
One
I
of
need
these
to see
cars,
it,
I'm
sir.
ready
You
to
know
go.
what? You know what stood out to me in this was that music.
Yeah.
And the whole time
Yeah.
I kept thinking, did Trent Reznor score this? Because it reminded me so much of The Social Network with that kind of like that dun 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 you know, that, and it just kept kind of had that droning on the background.
Yeah.
So I thought for sure this was Trent Reznor scoring it, but it's actually Mark Mancini, who has done a ton of work in his own right. I mean, Speed, Training Day, Moana, it goes on and on and on.
Well, anyway, guys, if you have not seen this trailer, I highly recommend you go check it out. It looks great. Question is for you. What did you think about it? You excited about it as we are, or maybe you're not really into Clint Eastwood's filmography? Whatever you guys think or feel, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's go on to this, shall we? You know, Joker 2, it just played in for some advanced fan screens. It opens this week officially. I hated it. I thought it was absolutely terrible. As somebody who passionately loves the first Joker movie, everything great about it is completely missing from this one. And the musical elements did not tell the story as musical elements should in a musical. They interrupted the story and were pointless. The whole movie's pointless. But if you're looking forward to seeing it, go see it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. I hope that you do. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Here we're talking about some financial realities surrounding Joker Folia Do. Because according to Screen Rant here, and others, Joker 2 opening box office projected to be lower than 2019's Joker. That's a bit of an understatement. I want to set the context for you. The first Joker movie, which, again, I think is brilliant. I know not everybody liked it. That's fine. I loved it. But the first Joker movie cost, reports vary, but anywhere between $55 and $70 million to make. 55 to 70 million. For argument's sake, let's say 60. Just for argument's sake. $60 million to make, roughly. The movie had a $96 million opening. And of course, going on to be the first R-rated film in history to join the $1 billion club. Got nominated for Best Picture. Joaquin Phoenix won the Academy Award for Best Lead Actor. Great success all around. $60 million to make. $96 million opening weekend. Joker 2 cost around $200 million to make. Some reports say 190, some reports say 195, some reports say 200. Let's go with 200. Joker 1, roughly 60. Joker 2, roughly 200. And by the way, I did not see $200 million on screen. I don't know what they put that money into. I mean, that movie looked like a movie that should have been made for about $40 million. But whatever. Joaquin Phoenix doing a sequel and Lady Gaga ain't cheap. So $200 million. Joker 1, $60 million, opened with 96. Joker 2, $200 million. And they're saying it's going to open to around 55. Roughly triple the cost to make, roughly half the box office they're going to get out of it. Let me say that again. Joker 2 is roughly triple the cost to make, and it's going to end up making, at least opening weekend wise, in the neighborhood of half.
So it's
a little bit more than half.
Folie à trois.
Folie à trois. So a little, right around, maybe a little bit more than half. I am not a mathematician out of MIT, but I believe that is less good. I think that's less good.
Yeah, it's more or less good.
That is more less good. That is a big step backwards. There is no anal money here for Joker.
Well,
this it's a disappointment. Now look, I have never thought, even if Joker 2 was great, I have never thought Joker 2 would make nearly as much money as the first one. I've been saying this for about a year because, again, the first one did make over $1 billion, but not everybody loved it. And I always thought that fewer people would come out for the second one, but it could still do very good. After seeing how truly awful the film is, and that's a subjective opinion, there are others who like it, and that's great. I don't know that this movie gets to 500 million. Like, I honestly don't know. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying I don't know at this point. Anyway, Chris, you're seeing these numbers.
Yeah.
around $200 million to make it. Now projected for anywhere between $50 and $60 million opening. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear these numbers?
Womp womp. That's basically it. Did I almost get you? Excellent. One of these days, spit take right into that
Almost
microphone.
had. Just took a drink of water.
All right. But yeah, this is the thing with trying to capture lightning in a bottle a second time. You often don't. You rarely do. And I mean, follow me on this journey. Ryan Reynolds actually talked about this in regards to the Deadpool films. On that sequel, they got so much more money, and it made them not as effective storytellers because they just went, oh, we can have this happen, and we can have this, and we can do this, and they threw money at everything. And when you do have a lower budget film, this is nothing to sneeze at, obviously, but a lower budget film, it does make you focus on certain things, character-driven moments, really creative shots, etc., etc. Budgets fuel your creativity because you got to be creative, otherwise things can look cheap or fall flat. When you throw a whole bunch of money at things, when you throw a whole bunch of spectacle at things, sometimes it just seems like flash and trash. That's kind of how this is sounding, and I don't feel like this is going to bring in the audience like they hoped it would. The whole point of a musical, right? The reason why you sing is because your emotions are so much bigger than you that words cannot contain them in that moment. That is the purpose of songs in musical theater. It should not detract or deviate from the story. You brought this up earlier in the week where other jukebox musicals have been effective with this, like Moulin Rouge. Those songs made sense for the characters to sing, where it felt like that was just what they needed to say in that moment.
They told the story.
Exactly. Whereas this deviates and detours. I feel like these initial reviews are really hurting this. I had heard from folks before this movie came out, too, that it was not going to be very great from folks on the production side of things. And it's a shame because, you know, this whole team really believed in their first film. I know I wasn't a fan of the first Joker, but I understand why people like it. It is a very well-made movie. It is a very well-acted movie. It is a very well-executed movie. It's just not my cup of tea. And I do think that the divisiveness of that first movie is great. Some people love it and think it has such an amazing story to tell, and other people are like me and they go, oh, I felt so uncomfortable the whole time and I don't like this movie. This one, it's a shame to see something like this, even as somebody who's not a fan of the original one. It's a shame to see people go, oh, wow, this is just not good. I would rather have people really, really divisive on it again and either love it or hate it. Because I think that's the worst thing art can be is meh.
I don't know. I'd rather make meh than something that's universally hated. But still, I mean, it's going to sound like a weird comparison for Joker to Toy Story.
Yeah.
After Toy Story 2, the brain trust of Pixar said, we're done. We're done. We're not going to make Toy Story movies anymore. But then what happened? I think the first guy to come to the table was Andrew Stanton. Said, we've got this awesome idea. And because they had an awesome idea, they went, let's revisit whether we should do another Toy Story then. Because we've got this awesome idea. That wasn't the creative process for Joker 2. The creative process for Joker 2 wasn't, we've got an awesome idea. It was, first movie made $1 billion. We got to make another one. What do you got? What do you got?
Yeah.
Let's give us something to go with. I mean, you could even say the same thing for Deadpool 3, but the thing is, literally, Deadpool 3, Kevin Feige for years kept shooting down ideas that Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds were bringing to the table. Kept shooting them. Said, that's not the right story. That's not the right story. It's when they came up with the whole Hugh Jackman angle and everything. It's like, now, see, this is a movie we need to make. And then they made it. I'm not saying the same thing couldn't have happened with Joker 2, but watching the movie, it is clear this wasn't like people going, oh my God, we've got this awesome idea for a second Joker film. Studio, please let us make it. It was studio, hey, this one made $1 billion. Come up with something and make it. And because it could have worked, it could have been great, but it's clear what it came out of, as opposed to say like a Toy Story is being continued because they just came up with great ideas.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? This Joker movie, though it doesn't look a penny more expensive than the first one, cost nearly triple the cost to do it and is looking at maybe pulling in half of the box office. What kind of is the message that is communicated to you? What are you hearing out of all that? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to get on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, whatever, go ahead and fire it on in. But before we do, we're going to take another quick second and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at The Perfect Gene. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Gene. Okay, so I've got to tell you about The Perfect Gene. These jeans are seriously a game changer. You know that feeling you get when you find a pair of jeans that fit so well that you almost forget that you're wearing them? That's what happened when I tried these. I'm not kidding. They're as comfortable as your favorite sweatpants, and they can slide on like them too, but they still look amazing. Look, as guys, we've all suffered through stiff, uncomfortable jeans, but The Perfect Gene is all about recusing, well, your gentlemanly area. These jeans are soft, stretchy, and they fit like they were custom made just for you. Because they've got an insane range of sizes, whether you're a skinny jeans kind of guy or rocking the bigger look. And they didn't just stop with jeans, they've got the perfect tee as well, with just the right amount of stretch to hide that beer belly, but still make you look great. It's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc. Our listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use the code Campea15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with the promo code Campea15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show by telling them that we sent you. F your khakis and get The Perfect Gene. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Gene for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff. Your comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, we got JCSC who says, checking the runtime for Joker 2. I see that the budget is reportedly $200 million. I couldn't find a confirmed number, just something mentioned in a Variety article. That can't be right, surely. You saw it. Did you like a movie? Did it look like a movie that cost $200 million?
No, it looked like a $40 or $50 million movie. But everywhere is saying 190, 195, 200. The highest I've seen is 205. So I think 200 million is probably where it sits. I think they gave a massive payday to get Joaquin Phoenix back. I think they paid a massive payday for Todd Phillips to come back. And clearly they probably paid a massive payday to get Lady Gaga to come in as well. And listen, the problem with the movie isn't Lady Gaga or Joaquin Phoenix or anything like that. It's just a bad story. There is no story. It is honestly a pointless movie. Whereas, again, the first Joker had so much to say. It had so much commentary and observation. A broken man in a broken world, and the broken world doesn't know how to deal with broken men like this. And broken men like this don't know how to exist in a broken world like this. And like everything was filled with so much. None of that is in this movie. With music added that made no sense and didn't bring anything to the table. So no, I did not see anywhere near $200 million in this film. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous who says, like you, I saw Joker 2 on Monday night and walked out disappointed with the rest of the audience. When Todd Phillips was promoting the first film, he kept trying to reiterate how this is not really the Joker. Did he not pay off the setup he promised us?
We can't go into that. Yeah. We're not going to discuss that because there are people who haven't seen the movie. All right, what's next?
Bry Guy says, good news, John. I checked the Rotten Tomatoes score for the upcoming Netflix drama, The Piano Lesson. While this could change, it's currently sitting at 96. So for now, it will definitely be one of Netflix good movies on the rare 2% chance.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this one looks good. I mean, the cast is killer. Mm-hmm. This is something that's been, and it's already getting awards buzz too, especially in the performances. So look, here's the thing. 98% of Netflix original movies are absolute dog shite. They're just terrible. But because they put out 7,000 movies a year, that 2%, every once in a while, they put out a really good one. And I think that this looks like the next really good one. So hopefully it lives up to the expectations. All right, what's next?
Bry Guy says, My Life as a Zucchini is a 2016 adult stop-motion animated dramedy film. This is the premise. After losing his mother, a young boy is sent to an orphanage with other orphans his age, where he begins to learn the meaning of trust and true love.
Never heard of it. Clearly didn't play in any theaters. So it's never been my radar, but I'll keep my eyes open for it. All right, what's next?
Future Man with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Future Man. Appreciate that, dude.
He says, John, you are seriously sleeping on the MGM Plus show From. This show will rip at your heartstrings while at the same time scaring the crap out of you. I honestly believe this new season is becoming the best one so far. And we're only 2 episodes in.
I don't know how many times I've had to explain I haven't seen season 2 yet. I was actually paid a lot of money by the studio that made From to promote it on social media. And whenever I did, I made sure I mentioned this is sponsored. And that's what got me to watch it in the first place. But I loved season 1. Absolutely loved it. I just never got around to watching season 2 yet. And I know they've just begun season 3. So yeah, I love the show. I have talked about it and I'm looking forward to picking it up and getting into season 2. All right, what's next?
David says, hey, John, if you don't mind me asking, will your sports podcast have any effect on when you plan to retire? I'm admittedly, looks like you guys are willing this. I'm admittedly not a huge sports guy, but I'm still going to listen to your show because if anyone can enhance my appreciation, it's you.
Aw.
That's a fair question. Maybe it might impact my decision. Look, what it won't impact is my decision to retire from movie talk. I've been doing movie talk for over 20 years. And I'm still kind of targeting just retiring. But I mean, I've wanted to do sports for so long because those are my 2 big passions, movies and sports. I just love both. I've always said if I wasn't doing movie talk right now, I'd probably be working for some local affiliate ESPN radio station somewhere. So if I really get, hey, listen, we don't know. We could do the sports show for 3 months and have it not work. And that's fine. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And we stop doing it. I just want to do it and I want to try it. But let's say for some weird twist of fate, it starts taking off a bit. Yeah, I could see myself doing it for a little bit longer and keeping that going for a while and then maybe hand off the movie channel or whatever. But these are all theoreticals right now that we'll wait and see. All right. Thank you for the question, though. All right. What's next?
Jordan McIntyre says, enjoying Rings of Power Season 2. An issue I have with the show is the inconsistent scale. Wide shots of Region feel epic, but then we see the same 8 people in all of the Region scenes in the same spot. Same issue with Numenor having the same locations.
I'll be honest with you. I never even noticed it. Did you?
Like I get what he's saying, but
I can understand that, but I don't feel like it has the same view of like, it doesn't feel like we're on the volume like watching Obi-Wan. Like when we have those shots in Region, it feels like we are in a Middle Earth.
Let's look at Return of the King in Minas Tirith. Like they were still they were up by that tree. They were up by the tree a lot of the time, right? Mm-hmm. Or they were just on like the staircase hallways, but it's like they're kind of the same ones. And then it's like these wide shots of the battle.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not going to have like Celebrimbor running all over the area. Look, that's where he's stationed.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was a set designer on one of the prequel DVDs said, remember, big spaces are filled with little places. And I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know. Does that apply to this? Anyway, I personally never felt that. I thought they established it felt grand and then it often went to small places. So yeah, that's not been an issue for me, to be honest with you. I mean, clearly it's something that stood out to you. So that's an issue. But for me, it's not even something I ever noticed, to be honest with you. All right. What's next?
Okay. Joe Wakefield says, I just watched Kevin Smith's The 4:30 movie and I found it delightful. It had a very small theatrical run. Yeah, I tried to find it. I couldn't even find it playing.
I remember Ann and I were looking for it. I couldn't find it anywhere.
And was released digitally October 1st. Did any of you see it? If so, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I guess if it's released digitally, I can check it out that way.
Yeah. But first of all, they haven't marketed this at all. I did not know when the digital release was. I am a Kevin Smith fan. And this looks like the exact kind of movie. I remember when we first saw the trailer a number of months ago, felt like the kind of movie that Kevin Smith should be making right now. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it because like being a kid and getting on our bikes and riding to Lime Ridge Mall to go to the movie theaters and stuff like that. And all, it just comes way too close to home. So I've not watched it yet. I couldn't find it when had its theatrical run. Yeah. And now that it's out, yeah, I'll definitely be watching
I'm wondering if it fits into the View Askew world of his. Or if it's just a completely other outside of that.
I never got the sense that it was View Askew at all.
Okay.
But you never know. You never know. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, is it fair to say the Discovery WB merger isn't successful and won't be? It's been 2.5 years. No major wins that weren't a carryover. Barbie greenlit under AT&T. Zaslav comes off as callous and greedy with a worse reputation than Kilar and Chapek.
No, and you know what? 5 years from now, I'm going to be laughing about it and saying I told you so. Everybody's got to remember when AT&T bought Warner Brothers, they bought it for $80-something billion. You can fact check me on that. Ray, look how much. Search how much did AT&T pay for Warner Brothers? But I believe it was around the $80 billion mark.
Okay.
In just like a couple of years. In just a couple of years. You want to know how badly they ran that place into the ground?
85.4.
85.4. Now double check. What did they sell it to Discovery for? What did AT&T sell Warner Brothers Discovery? Because I think it was in the 40s. In just a couple of years, they ran Warner Brothers so far into the ground with horrible structure, horrible business arrangements, horrible media planning, and horrible execution. In just the couple of years,
43.
in just the couple of years that they owned it, they had to sell it for half of what they bought it for. They had to sell it for 43. And what do we always tell people when there's a major regime change? When there's a major regime change, it takes a couple of years to see the really full effects because you're still going to have the effects of the previous regime. Warner Brothers under AT&T did this, not this. It did this. And they were put into media deals and they positioned themselves in the media landscape in a horrible way. They trashed the reputation of the company and they completely undermined their revenue streams. And so even though they only owned it for a couple of years, they had to sell it at a $40 billion loss. Let me say that again. They had to sell AT&T had to sell Warner Brothers in just a couple of years at a $40 billion loss. That is going to take years to change the trajectory on that. It's going to take years to try to repair that. And I've said for a long time, everybody can say everything you want about David Zaslav. I hated the name change of the streaming service to Max. I think that was the most idiotic, stupid thing. But I think that's the dumbest thing he's done. A lot of the business decisions they have made, I've said, it's not going to feel like it right now, but long term, that decision he just made is going to pay off. That other decision, everybody's laughing at it right now, but I'm telling you, a few years down the line, that decision is going to pay off. And the reality is that Warner Brothers is still now starting to fight its way out of its spiral, dealing with a lot of the horrible situations that they were put in by AT&T. Now, is Zaslav and crew going to be able to turn that whole thing around? I don't know if anybody was going to be able to turn it around, but maybe. I think he's making some good decisions. Will it be enough? Don't know. We'll see. But a lot of things are starting to work out. And whether or not they're going to be able to turn around at some point, we'll have to wait and find out. All right. What's next?
All right, what's next, right? You often say that reboots, remakes don't affect enjoyment of the original film, and I agree with that. But isn't the same logic true for sequels, i.e. Joker 2? I personally despise the Star Wars sequels, but it doesn't take away the enjoyment of the OG trilogy. Correct.
Yeah, I completely agree. Nothing takes away from that movie, right? Even though I really dislike Joker. Although I will say the ending of Joker 2 kind of makes me look at the first Joker. Whatever. But no, if a sequel sucks, doesn't matter. That second one's still there. Or that first one is still there as it is. You know, Hangover 2 may not have a lot of fans. That's okay. I can still sit down and watch the original Hangover and laugh my ass off. You know what else is really good? We don't talk about this one. Remember Analyze This?
Yeah.
With Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal?
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious movie. And then they did Analyze That, which was not good. But you know what? I can still pop on Analyze This and laugh my ass off. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree. I don't, even if a sequel's terrible, it does not take away from my enjoyment of that first one.
Grease 2 didn't ruin Grease 1.
Yeah, that's another great
Oh man,
example,
some of that
right?
music in Grease too.
And you know what?
Slaps.
Highlander 2, one of the worst films ever made.
It enhances the entire franchise because now I know they're aliens.
Oh my god, they retconned that in
Not in this movie theater,
not up
baby.
here, not in my head canon. They're alien criminals whose punishment was to be sent to Earth and be immortal. That was their alien punishment. Anyway, but it doesn't take away from that. The first Highlander is one of my favorite movies of all time. Doesn't matter how bad a sequel or remake is, that original one is there. And as long as that remains untouched, I'm happy. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Matanu says, no wonder that Todd Phillips said Joker 2 isn't a musical. He hates musicals so much he made the transition to songs suck. Going by what you said, we need to stop Hollywood from fearing musicals because of realism or something else. He might like Wicked. I don't know.
Look, I was one of the people who applauded when I heard that they were going to try to do Joker 2 either as a musical or with musical elements. I thought that's bold. And listen, we want our filmmakers to be bold and take swings. And we got to understand that when we ask our filmmakers to take swings, sometimes that means they're going to strike out. This was a strikeout. It didn't work. And I almost feel, I heard one other critic say that they almost feel like he should have leaned more into the music. And maybe then it would have become more relevant. But again, the big problem is that Todd Phillips did not use the music to tell the story. The music interrupted the story. It's like, we interrupt this movie so we can do this little musical number and then we'll get back to the movie. And it took an already bad movie and disjointed it. And so I applaud the idea, but it didn't work. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Christian with a 3-parter. Uzumaki finally premiered on Max, and is it magnificently horrifying. It's an adaptation of Junjo Ito's iconic body horror manga. It's been in production for 5 years, and wow, does it show. The level of detail in the animation is incredible. Composer of Hereditary worked on this as well. So if you need an idea of how eerie and unsettling the atmosphere is of the show is, there you go. It'll run only through October since it's 4 episodes, perfect for Halloween season. Plan on checking it out. If not, at least give the still images a peek because even those will raise your eyebrows. To be honest, I didn't think it would ever see the light of day due to it being delayed year after year since its start production in 2019. This was my blade, bro.
I'm not going to be disingenuous. I have no intention of watching it. It's clearly not my kind of thing. So
It's not my kind of anime either.
Oh, really?
No, well, because it's body horror.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right,
even
right.
even animated vi violence is still vi violence, and I
It's
can't
still
deal with
high
it.
violence.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Aaron Cummings, like
still a spider.
an animated spider is still a spider.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you, I have no intention of watching it, but I'm sure there's a lot of people watching the show right now that heard you plug it and might give it a check out. So thanks for doing that. All right, what's next?
Okay, Christian follows up with a 2-parter. Also, finally started season 2 of Pachinko, and what a beautiful return to this story. Season 1 is still my favorite Apple-produced show, even over Severance. Yoon Yoo-jung, a grandma from Minari, is heart-shattering in this. Kim Mina plays the same character, but at her adolescence and is just as incredible. Follows 4 generations of Korean family from 1915 to 1989. Details the living of discrimination of Korean immigrants in Japan. As a son of an immigrant Mexican mother, it made me really misty-eyed to see. Oh, wait. It might be a 3-party?
There's a third party.
Third part, yeah, okay. Bits and pieces of my mom and the protagonist of Mina Yoo-jung. Have any movies, shows done the same for y'all? Okay, enough rambling. Hopefully you guys and many others watching the show check it out. It's incredible. Also, Anna Sawai pops up.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it. I've never
see
checked it out.
Yeah, I always see the thumbnail for it.
Yeah. By the way, when you brought it up, I was thinking of a totally different show. There are definitely movies or shows that have come up that really have made me reflect. And these are really special when this happens, that really make you reflect on your own family experience. And oddly enough, some of them for me have been things like, as an Italian, there have been films like of completely other cultures that I find strike very close to home with my Italian experience. One of the big ones of that, and it's funny because you're talking about tear jerking, and it did this for me, but even though it's a comedy, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yep.
You easily could have called that My Big Fat Italian Wedding, like in many, many ways. I completely love that movie, but as I was watching, I saw all my own aunts and my own uncles. How's this for the lineup of these are my Italian aunts. These are my aunts, okay? Pina, Nora, Maria. I mean, Sue had the easiest one. That's my aunts. My great uncles were Carlo, Vincenzo, Romolo, Sergarlo. Like that's it. And when I watched that movie, I just saw my own family get-togethers. Like it was kind of crazy. Even to a degree, Crazy Rich Asians, I had a little bit of that. That's one of the great things, Chris. I don't know if you notice this too, but when you get these movies with different cultures, whether it's Greek, Crazy Rich Asians, all that kind of stuff, it really makes me appreciate how we all have the same experience. It's just kind of skinned a little different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So do you have a movie for you that really kind of makes you very reminiscent of your own family upbringing?
I mean, My Big Greek Wedding is one, especially because growing up when that movie came out, everyone thought me and my family were Greek after that because of how we act. And I used to always go to the Greek Festival out in Houston. It's amazing. If you can go. It's so good. It's coming up soon. There's also a lovely little movie that's based on a graphic novel called Seven Fishes. Feast of Seven Fishes.
Yep.
That I love, that does such a great job of walking you through the dinner prep in a not terrifying way like the bear does. Because that's one of my favorite traditions. And I do that every year for everyone out here, where I have, like 25 people just get into my place, which is going to be so much nicer this year now that I'm in a house. But it's one of those that always makes me miss my family. And it just makes it so you see the importance and the beauty behind this meal that really frustrates you, but is so worthwhile to do with your family.
By the way, I lost it here, but I had saw that somebody kind of mentioned in the live chat that, they did make My Big Fat Italian Wedding. It was called The Godfather.
Well, that's so much of like Italian movies, right? It's so much mobster culture.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know about your family, but my family doesn't have a lot of that. So I don't relate too much to it.
I can't give any comment.
Yeah. I have a couple people who worked in city planning that my dad goes, I don't trust them. But other than that, I'm like, I don't relate to Al Pacino.
I'm not going to say who. Someone in my family where it's like, someone in my family was like, why are city councilmen always over at so-and-so's house? Yeah, I had a little bit of that.
They always walk out with envelopes.
They always walk out with envelopes. Or rolled up carpets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a lot of carpentry going. We had a carpet business.
There were certain uncles. My dad was terrified on my mom's side, 'cause my mom's side's that's Italian, and he is very, very Anglo, and was just like, I don't trust any of her uncles.
I definitely have stories on my side too.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Suthius says, guys, Mr. Cavill is only 41 years young. What if he is the new Wolverine going forward?
He's not.
How awesome would that be? Unlike Mr. Jackman, I'm sure Cavill won't mind staying and keeping buff for the next 10 or so years, over under 40%. I think they'd want someone for longer than 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, everybody knows Henry's my boy. Like, right over there. Henry's my boy. I honestly don't think he'd be a very good Wolverine. I just don't see him as a good fit for that. I think he can do a ton of stuff. I don't see him as Wolverine. It was fun seeing him as the Calverine. I thought that was really cool. That was a great joke in Deadpool. Like, we'll treat you so much better than those jackalopes up the street. Like, I thought it was a great joke and everything. I honestly don't think he would be a good... I see him more as a James Bond than I would as a Wolverine. But I don't know. That's just me. All right, what's next?
That guy from Virginia says, Michael Jordan's Team 23XI just announced a lawsuit against NASCAR over the entire charter agreement. Wouldn't it be ironic if their car won the championship this year? They won the regular season championship this year.
I have no idea what any of that means.
His racing.
Is it racing? I do not follow racing at all.
Yeah, he's NASCAR. I guess they're suing the cable company?
Is it NASCAR or is it Formula One?
Or I think it's NASCAR.
I don't follow either. So I'm like, that's just all over my head. I have no idea what we're talking about. Sorry about that, man. All right, what's next?
Ray's Famous Barbecue Ribs says, John, I know you don't care about musician biopics, but have you seen the trailer for English pop star Robbie Williams' Better Man, starring a CGI monkey as Robbie? That's interesting. Looks bananas. Same director as Greatest Showman. I haven't even heard of this.
So I saw a headline on this, and I didn't even bother. Look, I'm sure I will watch it at some point. Number one, I'm not a fan of the musician. nothing wrong with him. I'm not trash talking Robbie Williams. Not trash. I'm just saying not for me. I'm not really all that interested in a lot of musical biopics. And it sounds like an interesting concept. And I'm sure I will watch the trailer at some point. Again, I kind of came across the headline. I was just getting the show together this morning, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it. And maybe I'll love it. I don't know. But it doesn't really interest me off the top of my head.
Yeah, I am going to see the Timothy Chalamet Bob Dylan biopic, though.
Okay. I got that.
A complete
and how
unknown.
good does Hulk Boy?
Does what
Hulk
boy?
boy.
He played Hulk.
He's
Edward
in it?
Norton.
Mark Ruff. Oh, okay.
Edward
I was
Norton.
like, what?
How good does Edward Norton look in
Yeah,
that?
Edward Norton.
He looks there's Edward Norton's getting some awards buzz
Oh.
for this too. So, all right, what's next?
We got Giovanni says, hello, John and crew. I'm one of the few that dislike The Wild Robot, and I love animated movies. It made the mistake of contradicting its own rules many times. Transformers 1 was better. Top 3 movies this year: Dune, The Substance, Hundreds of Beavers. You know, I'm seeing a pattern here. Those that love The Substance hate Wild Robot.
Yeah, that's right. We had somebody else write in yesterday that talked about The Substance and didn't like Wild Robot.
I mean,
Can't say
apples and
anything.
oranges.
I know.
Yeah.
Also, like, yeah, I understand that a transformer is essentially a robot, but again, these are very different stories.
Sure. I mean, I haven't seen Wild Robot yet.
I'm
Okay.
seeing it
So,
today.
because I couldn't see it on the weekend because Ann was traveling, then I couldn't see it the other day because we saw Joker. Couldn't see it last night because I saw Hans Zimmer. Tonight, we have our tickets. We're going to go see Wild Robot tonight. Jonathan, you're seeing it tonight too, right?
420.
Blaze
Yeah,
it.
so I'm look, all I know is it's got a 98% critic rating and a 98% audience rating. So we'll see how I feel about it when I come out of it. All right, what's next?
Pacific McRib says, hey, Campea crew, just started watching Banshee since it was added to Max. Still on season 1, great show, and a lot of random filthy, but I get why everyone loved it when it first came out. Anthony Starr can do no wrong. Highly recommend.
It's a BBC
Wow.
show, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I never watched it.
Yeah, I think it's a BBC,
It's
show.
BBC?
It's not an American show.
That's what I was going to say. 'Cause he's
Yeah, so
Aussie.
I've heard about it because Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, is in it, but I've never had a chance to watch it. Somebody's saying it's on Cinemax. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Victor says, happy 50th anniversary to the original Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow.
I've only seen it once. That's kind of all you need.
need.
Once many years ago, and I felt like I had to take a long shower afterwards. One of those movies I can't rewatch, even though I think it's masterfully made. Have you seen it? I'll never look at a chest freezer the same.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it a long time ago, like it was ages ago. Never felt the need to go back and watch it again. And you know what? I've never watched any of the other
No.
Chainsaw movies after that.
Gross, gross, gross. Can we talk about why? I understand why, but also still, why is there a Texas Chainsaw Barbecue food booth at Halloween Horror Nights? I don't want to eat people.
But it's a
I don't
Halloween
want
theme.
that.
You're supposed
It's
to
gross.
be
It's gross,
gross and
I
whatever.
don't like it. Let the people up, but don't feed them to us.
By the way, we went to.
Food waste.
Did you go to Halloween Horror Nights?
No.
Oh, you did. So we went.
I walk around during the day and then I
You know
leave.
what the best part of Halloween Horror Nights was?
Is it the luchador part?
No.
Oh,
If you had the Fast Pass, which you got to get the Fast Pass if you go to Halloween Horror Nights, have to, because
you can
otherwise you're
afford
standing
it.
in a lane. I know it is expensive, but you're literally standing in line for an hour and a half for each maze, and with the Fast Pass, you're standing in line for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had the Fast Pass, they let you into Nintendo World, and
mean
there
at
was
night?
no wait for the Mario
Mario
Kart
Kart?
ride.
oh.
So
Like normally that's like a 2-hour line.
You just
And
go
then it's
on
like,
Thursday in
no,
the
just
morning.
walk right in,
In the-
boom, go in.
yeah.
Well, I'm a little busy Thursday
Yeah.
mornings.
Well,
That's your problem.
well, there'll come a day. There will come a day. But also, the Nintendo World at night for the Halloween thing, it's closed off that area. But if you have a pass, you can go in.
yeah, if you have Fast Pass, they let you in,
Oh,
and
that's
it was
cool.
great. So because like Ann's sister had never seen it before, so we were able to take her in. And it's like, oh, I love that. Was great. That's the best part about it. All right, what's next?
All right. DJ Infa says the scene in Maverick where he steals the jet, the changes in Hangman's facial expression are its own story. He starts with a giddy, okay, show me attitude and finishes with a damn. Then a look of realization that Pete is the real shit, even though he was a dick. I was glad he had this moment at the end when he came to the rescue. Love this movie.
I mean, it's a little bit of a copy paste of Iceman at the end of the first Top Gun. You can be my wingman anytime.
You can be mine.
You know, it's kind of copy and paste from that. There's a YouTuber. I think I might have mentioned this before. There's a YouTuber called The Legal Eagle that makes some, like, obviously I've got a bit of a law background, but he makes awesome videos. He's great. But he did this one video where they basically broke down, yeah, there's like 5 things Maverick does in this movie that would have gotten him the death penalty. Like straight up death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you're not supposed to be flying that $1 billion plane, heavily armed plane right now. You were not, and he just stole it and took it so he could go prove a point. It makes for a great movie, but he would have been executed for doing that. Like, it's just, it was like it's a long time ago that I watched the video, so I can't remember all the final details of it, but it was just pretty cool. It's like, how many things did Maverick actually do in that movie that would have been like instantly court-martialed and maybe the death penalty?
Not when you're the Mav.
And
You
that's
hate
one of the
having
things
fun.
he talked about.
You hate having fun. Why you have to ruin such a fun movie?
Every
All right.
party has a pooper.
What's next?
DJ follows up. I don't know the actor's name, but the guy who plays Admiral Kane in Maverick, I thought would have been a good Thunderbolt Ross. I know it's X actor, X role, but the short time he's on the film, he plays the role really well. Gritty military.
I'm assuming
officer.
you mean the guy who played Warlock. You like his call? Because I don't remember the character's name. I just remember the call sign. I assume you mean the guy who played Warlock.
Who played the Admiral? Boy.
Because you had, remember, it was John Hamm, and then his kind of right-hand guy.
Yeah,
right?
I'm looking it up because he says the name.
Isn't it
Admiral.
Ed Harris?
No,
Yeah.
no. That was the Drone Ranger.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then is it?
I think from because there's John Hamm, and he had kind of a right-hand guy.
Oh,
But he says Admiral Kane. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to look.
Admiral Kane is.
What was it?
Is Ed Harris?
Oh, that. So he was. I thought he was talking about
Yeah.
Warlock. Okay, so he's talking about the Drone Ranger. What did he say he could see him playing?
Thunderbolt Ross.
Thunderbolt
Well,
Ross.
you did play Thunderbolt Ross.
No, he didn't.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of
You're thinking of John William Hurt. I mean,
William Hurt. Yeah.
yeah, who did not play Thunderbolt
Yeah,
Ross.
yeah.
Yeah, Ed Harris could have played Thunderbolt Ross. I honestly think Harrison Ford playing Thunderbolt Ross is kind of inspired
I
casting.
can't wait to see Red Hulk just point angrily. So you get out of my jet. It's gonna be great.
Hulk's lawn. Yeah, that'll be really
Yeah.
good. All right, what's next?
Let's see. DJ says, just been DJing in Dubai. After seeing the Burj Khalifa, I can't decide if Tom Cruise is a madman or an exceptional human. The stunt he did in Mission Impossible, my head cannot compute. Also love the Matt Damon story on how he went through 3 stunt coordinators.
Again, it's going to be Hollywood legend now forever. It's the stuff done. And look, Tom Cruise is getting to the end of doing all that kind of stuff. He is
Yeah.
in his 60s now and whatever. But I mean, he just did that Olympics thing, which was pretty fun. But it's going to be Hollywood legend forever, the stuff that he did. I mean, it's like, I honestly think the topping of that was the hanging off the side of the plane as it takes off. But also in The Mummy, and like nobody talks about The Mummy because it wasn't very well received. But they literally took that scene in the plane crashing sort of thing. They literally took that plane to the edge of outer space where they had no gravity and they rolled the plane so they could actually get that on film. I mean, he will go down in history as doing some of the most bonkers stuff. And again, I don't even think the thing in Mission Impossible was the craziest of them. All right, what's next?
DJ says, as a kid, Superman 2 and 4 were my favorite. As a child, it was all about who was the most physical threat. As an adult, you then realize how bad 4 was and how good 1 is.
Well, I mean, 2 is still my favorite.
2 Donner Cut is my fave.
2 is still my favorite. 4 was, that's the one who fights Nuclear Man, right? Is 4 Quest for Peace?
4, yes.
Because 3 is the one with Richard Pryor,
3 is
right?
Richard Pryor.
Oh my God.
But as a child, I get it. It was bad. But as a child, watching that woman get like turn into a robot as the wires are like slapping her and whatever, it messed me up as a kid.
That's how you turn somebody into a robot. But the funny thing
It was
to me is,
horrific
like,
as a child.
when the computer's like wrapping Superman up in wires, because Superman can't break
no,
wires?
these are super wires.
Of course, and don't forget Drunk Superman.
Oh,
And if you're
yeah.
drunk,
And see, that was unsettling as a
costume
child
gets
too,
dirty.
to see Superman just angry and
Yeah.
and his
wanting to hurt
dark, his
people.
dirty
He was
suit.
dirty.
Yeah.
And then they go into a trash compactor and fight, and he comes out clean.
Yep.
It's like essentially it's Shawshank Redemption for
It's all about your
Superman.
attitude, Jonathan. It's about your attitude.
He went through 500 yards of trash compactor and came out clean.
All right, what's next?
Ronetta says, "Hi y'all, good times, scratching and surviving good times. Hanging. Oh, I see what we're doing. Hanging in and jiving good times. Ain't we lucky? We got him good times. Rest in peace, John Amos. You are a true treasure and wonderful actor, funny as hell, and good tea in Coming to America. You'll be missed."
Oh,
And so much more. He was also in. Was he not in Conan the Destroyer? Or
No, I think you're thinking.
there was a.
You're
there
thinking
was
of
a
Will
thing.
Chamberlain, aren't you?
No. There's something where he's dressed like a barbarian. I got to look up his
Oh, maybe it was him.
IMDb.
Maybe it's been a while since I've seen Conan the Destroyer, but Beastmaster
Yeah, I think it could have been
Okay.
Beastmaster.
Beastmaster.
Yeah.
again for me. When I think of the first thing that comes to my mind isn't Good Times or Coming to America, or those are all great, but it's for me it's The West Wing, where he plays the admiral. It was a significant role. He had some of the best scenes. He was a part of some of the most important storylines the show ever had. It's one of the greatest shows of all time. And he was, because not only was this admiral, he was a big man. Amos was a big man. And when he was on screen, you could see him like towering over like some of the other characters in the show, which I thought was really great. But yeah, I loved him so much in The West Wing. All right, what's next?
DJ says Zod has always been my favorite villain. Michael Shannon's version was incredible. Gunn's reboot has me hoping for another Zod. Big shoes to fill.
I will find him.
Yeah, it is not as iconic as Neil before Zod, but I love it.
Of course, that's not the catchphase that Ray thinks of when he thinks of
Yeah,
Zod.
my people.
My people.
The people.
I'm a little bit torn. I agree. I love Zod, but they've done Zod a lot, right? I mean, obviously Superman 2, but then Henry Cavill had Zod. Then they did that Krypton show, which by the way wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But it had
Okay.
Zod and like all that kind of stuff.
Flash had it.
Yeah, I think maybe. I think at some point you got to do Zod again. At some point. But I think James Gunn is going to avoid Zod for a bit because he's just been done so much. Again, you're right. The Flash brought him back again. You probably hold off for a little while before you bring Zod in again.
I think he's just more effective if you have Superman established in your universe and then, oh my gosh, the Phantom Zone, this crazy thing,
Yeah.
this wild thing that we still have Kryptonians alive on. And when you have Kal-El isolated from his own culture for long enough, then you see the actual struggle of, but I want to connect with other Kryptonians. I
Yeah.
just don't want them to be like this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, what's next?
Okay, last one from DJ. He says Nolan establishes Batman before introducing Joker. Reeves has done the same. Do you think Gunn is doing the same with Zod? I know officially Lex is his nemesis, but for me it's Zod.
Man, I don't know what they're going to do with Batman. I mean, I personally don't think Joker is something you have to save. Why? Because ultimately Joker's just a man, right? Like, so I think you can build up to something bigger from Joker, even though he is the definitive Batman foil. But that doesn't mean you have to kill Joker in the first movie either. Look, I'm not saying you should lead out with Joker. I'm just saying I don't have a problem with the idea of leading out with Joker. But Zod is different because there's not a lot more you can move on from a Kryptonian warrior. Yeah, you got Doomsday. Yeah, 2 Degree Brainiac. I'll be honest with you, I've never liked Brainiac that much. I know that puts me in the minority. I think Brainiac's kind of goofy, but whatever. That's just me. But like, Zod is something I think you build up to just for the physical threat that he represents, right? So, because there's a lot of villains in Superman's pantheon that Zod could take care of pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
And not a lot above him on the food chain. So I think Zod's to me, but Joker, I'm okay if you lead off with Joker, to be honest. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, he's great. They're great villains, but I feel like we've just seen them so much, and we're inundated with some of these. Just real quick too, Brainiac. I know Ray, you were watching this. The My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah.
The way that they handled Brainiac, oh, chef's kiss.
I even think
So good, so great, so messed up and terrifying. Oh, it's so good.
I even think the version on the Injustice games is a lot better.
Oh yeah.
A lot
Yeah,
of the
they do a
Injustice-
pretty interesting Brainiac in that, but again, a little too goofy for me. I mean, Darkseid's probably the thing you ultimately build up, but
For
so
sure.
you cannot do Darkseid.
No, that's
too
your
early.
Thanos.
Yeah, because once you do Darkseid, I'm not quite sure what you do
can
after
have
that.
you can have him lurking in the back, but like
Yes.
just a little. You know how
Yes.
they do in wrestling.
Well, like they did
look-
with Thanos.
Yeah, just have him like
Start
let
him
people know he's
slowly
there.
come in.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I know this is an animated thing being compared to, but the buildup in Young Justice of seeing Darkseid come into play and having, the Legion of Doom and all these things in the
Right.
light, and everyone slowly but surely builds till you get Darkseid. It works really, really effectively.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about, including putting some projects that I'm not even familiar with on the radar for the other viewers of the show. So thank you for that. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voiko,
Later.
Chris Carr.
Bye.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, an enemy. Did I say